Alright, gaming compute, what is up? Um, I'm recording at the moment through my, I don't even know what this is called, voice recorder software that's built into this Dell laptop. So I'm seeing how it works in comparison to Riverside. Guys, at this hotel, the Wi-Fi is so bad. It took for about a 1 hour episode, an hour and like maybe 5, 6, 10 minutes or so. I don't know, an hour, a little bit plus. It took at least 4 hours for something that said it would take 11 minutes. So basically, it has to upload to Riverside um, after it's recorded, and then I have to export it so that it saves somewhere, and then I can take that export and either post it to the podcast or share it or whatever. Like there's different points where you can still like share a link and stuff, but for some reason the audio file you have to upload it even after you've recorded it and saved it. You have to upload it to Riverside and then export it off of Riverside to be able um, to put it on the podcast. So that's weird. I figured let me just bypass that a little bit and just record straight into my voice recorder on my laptop and just upload this straight to the podcast because those extra 2 steps took hours. I don't think it's a Spotify issue. I think it's an issue with this hotel's Wi-Fi. My other podcast is logged into my phone. It seems to upload just as fast as anything else. So I think Riverside is slow. Um, I don't know exactly why, but Riverside is slower. And so that's a little bit of maybe a bit of an annoyance. Riverside's a little bit slower, but yeah, I'm just kind of chilling. Um, just kind of trying to figure out this podcast stuff. So let me see what else I found out. So there is an ad break under monetization. You can add an ad break. When I went back and listened to the ad break, it doesn't seem to have anything there. So I don't really know what the process is now with monetization with Spotify for podcasters. I see on the desktop version subscriptions and listener support. You can either get, people to subscribe and then they have to pay a monthly fee and you get a portion of that fee. I don't know how much it is that they pay or how much you get. Let me see if I click on it if it says anything. Okay, so it has the eligibility issues. So to get subscription eligibility, you have to have 100 listeners within 60 days. I hadn't clicked that, so I didn't know. And I don't think this is available on the phone version. Let me double check that. But I'm looking at a non-monetized podcast right now. Same thing for listener support. To get donations from your listeners, you have to have reached 100 Spotify listeners within 60 days. But I don't know what the metrics need to be to qualify for the ads. I don't know if they're host read ads. That's kind of the missing piece of information right now. Or maybe you get your own ads and just insert them. I really don't know how that works. Let me look at the phone version. So the mobile version, monetize with Spotify for podcasters. It makes you go to the website and you have to log into podcasters.spotify.com. Let's see if I'm going to have any issues with this because I've been having issues with logging in. It's going to take a bit to load. Slowly loading. So yeah, there have definitely been changes. There have definitely been changes to the monetization process. Oh my goodness. I don't know if it's going to let me log in. I don't know if this is going to let me log in on my phone. Let's see. I guess it would be this account. I don't know why. I thought I was already logged in. Well, that one seems to say I'm not logged in. It doesn't like that. Doesn't like that login. I don't know. I don't know which one I'm supposed to be using as far as the passwords. So I guess it's not what I had saved for podcasters.spotify.com. There's also open.spotify.com. There's also accounts.spotify.com. So I don't know which one it is. If I press open. So it's open. It's open.spotify.com. No, and it says account not found. So maybe it's not that. I don't know, guys. I can't really check on the mobile version. Some reason it won't let me actually log in to that different account. So I don't know. I don't really know. But I know before it was 1,000. You had to have 1,000 listeners to get the ad placement, and I can't remember if that was over 30 days, or over 60 days, or 90 days. I can't remember. But I think they evaluate it every 30 days or something. So trying to monetize might become a little bit difficult. Maybe, I don't know. But one podcast, I'm almost to the monetization point again, I think. It's just, I haven't been fully posting everywhere, so we'll see. We'll just have to see. But I'm trying to figure that out. I don't know if it's still 1,000 or if it's changed. I don't know if I've seen any updated YouTube videos or anything along those lines. Let's see if I can find any updated YouTube videos. And that's the thing, like with Spotify for podcasters, there's really not a lot of content out there trying to tell people how to make it work, how to monetize. It's not very clear, and they change things so often. It's like it just keeps changing back and forth. If I type in Spotify podcast monetize ads, I don't know. But this is going to give me some 2023 information. I mean, there are other ways to monetize, but you kind of have to have something to sell. A lot of this information is old. How to add ads to your videos. But this is like a year old, so sorry, I don't really know the answer right now. I thought I'd be able to find it real quick, but that's not the case. So So yeah, that's the next piece I want to figure out. And then what else did I say? I said, yeah, monetizing and traffic. Traffic is going well. I've got a paid traffic campaign right now on one of my podcasts, and that's doing well. So I'm trying to see if that bumps me into the monetization offers. Um, I'm debating on that one if I'm gonna make a class or something that's paid. I really don't know. It just sounds like a lot of work that I haven't really thought out. And ideally, it would be nice to think it out this weekend, but I've got a bunch of other stuff I need to be doing too. Um, I need more than like maybe 3, 4 hours to figure it out. So I think I only really have like 2 hours because I've got some other, guitar practicing to do and some other stuff. So I don't really know. But I guess um, that's about it for this one. Just a short, quick upload. Hopefully it'll be quick because yesterday's was not quick. Yesterday's upload took me multiple hours. So I'm gonna need to figure out this monetization situation. I'll see if I can. Well, I just went on one of the newer videos, one from the last 3 months. They only mentioned two options. The two options that I mentioned, I pretty much tried to ask a question on there if people know any info about if host-read ads still exist, if there is a qualification number for that, if it's still back at 100 or if it's still 1,000 listens, and why the ad is blank for now. If you're trying to add the option for the ad, which it tells you you can add, but I don't really know if it's really adding anything. According to what I've heard, it seems like it's blank. So I don't know if you have to wait to be able to get access to that ad, because it seems like you can put the ad in there. I'm actually gonna try. Let me test it out actually in the episode. Let me test it out in the episode and see if it actually is playing. Because I didn't try that yet. I just tried it in edit mode. Alright, guys. Well, I just don't know. I tried it on my laptop. I tried listening also on my phone. Just searching for one of the podcasts where I put an ad towards the end just to see what it sounds like. And yeah, the ads don't seem to show up even when I'm not logged in. If I'm just trying to listen, it's just anyone else would listen. It doesn't seem to show up, so I don't really know how to go about getting that to show up. Let me see. I don't know why it's an option. Let me see if I can click around a little bit more. Man. So if I go into an episode that's not yet posted, see if I just pick a draft that I'm not trying to play right now. And yeah, when I click monetize on the actual draft, it says this episode has no ads. Insert ad breaks to monetize your episode. And then it has a button to insert ad breaks. And then if I click insert ad breaks, it takes me to editing episode, the name of the episode, and where you can kind of put that ad break in, but it doesn't have the actual ad that you can use. And there's a, let me see, at the top there's a banner that says It's kind of like exclamation mark. Beginning June 2024, our recording and editing tools will no longer be available. Download any audio from your library that you like to keep. You can record new episodes with Riverside. One more. Beginning June 2024. So you can't record or edit inside of Spotify anymore in coming June 2024. I don't know why they're taking that option out. I don't want to use Riverside. I don't know, but I also don't want to save a bunch of stuff on my computer. I like to have a little more freed up space, honestly. So I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to figure out these ads. When I'm in the episode tab, looking at an actual episode, that's the only place I can find where it says monetize, where it gives you that option for the ad. It says analytics, details, Q&A, polls. Then monetize is the last one. And it says ads are optional, and then it doesn't have any options. When I click insert ad breaks on this one, it takes me to that page where you can't really do anything. You can't insert the ad there. But on another episode, it didn't take me to this. It's hard to explain it verbally, but it didn't take me to this interface that was kind of like a click and drag. It took me to an click and drag, like you can put you can get stuff from your library or music or those little transitional music clips, and it has on the right side just like what type of file, and you can kind of drag the files to put them in the order you want. It wasn't looking like that. It basically had the sound waves, and then you could put the ad there. So there are two different places somehow that you can put ads, but it doesn't seem to play the ads, and it doesn't seem to say what the ads are or where you can get them or what the criteria is to qualify for the ads. I've kind of clicked every possible option from what I can see, so I really don't know. I'm gonna check back on it because it is in the monetized section, but it's not in every monetized section when you're on the desktop version. And when you're on the phone version, I can't find it at all because I can't properly log in on my phone, because I think maybe my passwords are saved incorrectly. I really don't know what's going on. But it's already logged in, but it's telling me I can't log in. I don't understand it. I think maybe it's logged into Anchor. I don't know what's going on my phone, but it's letting me post on my phone. But apparently I'm not logged into Spotify, even though you have to be. So I don't understand. I don't understand at all. But I've spent enough time on this for the moment. I plan to try to follow up. All I can really do is ask around. I don't think there's really an actual tutorial type of channel that talks about Spotify for podcasters in too much detail. There's a little bit of stuff, but it's very generic, or like how to monetize and like 5 or 7 ways to monetize. And a lot of it, I mean, I'm not saying that there's any quick way to monetize. You basically have to post content and have traffic and have listeners and engagement, and people sharing your stuff helps too. So if you guys like this stuff, please share it. If you know anyone who kind of likes to geek out, or if you know any friends or family who are like, oh, I'm trying to start a podcast, see if they find any benefit from referring back to my episodes. I hope they're beneficial. Just the only thing is the older episodes about Spotify, the older episodes might not fully apply right now, because as you can tell, it's been changing. And so I've kind of tracked that process, but in the process, I've had different issues with monetizing my own podcast because things changed. So at one point they were all monetized. At another point, some of them were monetized. At another point, none of them were monetized, and then some became monetized again. And now I'm kind of like in a place where I'm like, one is almost monetized. It should be meeting criteria by the end of this coming week. That's my goal, and then from there, because I've already paid for traffic for this weekend, I'm gonna pay for traffic for next weekend, and so I'm just kind of working on my posts, and I might just put those ad breaks in, but I don't think they're doing anything. I don't know why it's on there to monetize if you can't monetize using them. If I get any answers back through the YouTube people that I commented on their videos, if anybody in those comments kind of tells me something useful, I'll come back here and post about it. I just don't know. Like, it shouldn't be that hard when you're just clicking things. I think maybe it's a dead end um, with the ads because I can't find information about it anymore. So is Spotify using ads anymore? Because I know when I listen to some podcasts, I hear ads, but I wonder if it's their own sponsorships, and it might not be actually like the ads like it used to be before, where it was like an ad about Anchor. Obviously, I don't think Anchor is really around anymore. And then, I think the other ads were about Spotify for podcasters. And so, yeah. And before that, I don't know what the ads were. You could kind of just insert ad breaks early on. Like when I first started using it, you could just put in an ad and it wasn't really an issue. And then it got monetized just naturally. So I don't really know. There's been so many changes. It's hard to really tell like exactly what the options are. To be honest, I don't know if I like the options of people subscribing or donating as the only options for monetization. I don't like that. I prefer the host read ads or just ad 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 availability that they just kind of give you anyways to post. I'd rather just rely on ads. I don't know. I'm a big believer in free content. I would say if there are like types of courses, I would say, you know, that if there are types of courses, I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with donations because that's people stating, and there's nothing wrong with people subscribing either. I'm just trying to think about my own content personally. Um, I don't really think I see the benefit. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to think it through. I haven't really thought it through, so maybe I don't want to speak too soon. But donations, um, if people want to donate, that's going to be up to them to donate. Um, if people want to subscribe, I feel like you kind of have to have something more like a high quality product that they're subscribing to. What do you get for a subscription? How much are these subscriptions? How much does someone have to pay to subscribe? So let me see. I'm going to test and see, does Joe Rogan have subscriptions set up? Can I get to it through the app? I don't even know if I can get to it. I don't know if I can get to it. It doesn't say anything about subscriptions on Joe Rogan's podcast. Like I mentioned before, I think I mentioned this before, that I know people who have Patreons that they send people to their Patreon. I don't know anyone who uses subscriptions on Spotify. Um, so I don't really know. Even though I'm looking through channels that I know people should already be qualified because they have a pretty big audience. Let me see. So I'm clicking on this podcastchoices.com. So it says, okay, so if I clicked on uh this is okay, podcastchoices.com. When I looked at Pants Podcast, they had that as a link. It says about advertisements on your podcast. This podcast is hosted by Megaphone, a Spotify company. So they use Megaphone. I don't use Megaphone because it costs money. And Henry G, his explanation of Megaphone was not all that impressive. So I didn't know. So Spotify has Megaphone and Anchor? It's crazy. To the extent the publisher of the podcast you're listening to has enabled tailored advertising on this podcast via Megaphone, we use data we receive from Nielsen to facilitate your advertising experience. So, okay, you can set up ads through Megaphone, which I am not using. And to get to that link, you go to podcastchoices.com/ad-choices. So that's one thing I'm finding out now. Let me see. Yeah, I really don't see anyone else talking about subscribing, having a subscription to their podcast. I don't see anybody that I follow adding any type of subscription to their podcast through Spotify. So I don't even know if it works, if it's worth it, if people are recommending to do it or not. I would say for myself, if I were to put up some kind of a course, I would say that might be worth a subscription. But I couldn't really see myself like posting all that much. And so what would people be subscribing to if I didn't even post once a month? Or once a week or once every other week. Like I think it would have to be on a schedule where I'm posting something. Or so that people could keep having access to it. But I think that is a big commitment. I think if I didn't already have maybe 12 things to post, which would be once a month to pre-post, to pre-plan, then I don't know if a subscription would work. I prefer just to post this free content. I could make it video content. And part of me is kind of interested in going back to the TikTok stuff. Maybe this isn't the right exact episode to mention this, but the reason why I kind of stopped with some of the e-commerce stuff is because I started doing a little bit better on OfferUp. If you guys remember, I posted stuff like end of 2023 on OfferUp. When I got my back injury, I started posting some stuff online around then, and some of it's getting some bite backs, I think, because it's like sports related equipment. So far, my best luck on OfferUp has been with sports equipment lately. Sports equipment that, like small accessories that can be shipped, or things that people can come by, test out, purchase in person. I've learned, first come, first serve, because people will leave you hanging. I don't send the pickup address until they're about to be on their way. So I tell them what time do they think they're gonna need to leave to get to me, and if they don't confirm when they're about to leave, then I don't send them the address, because I don't want people just showing up somewhere and just being like, you weren't there, or like they show up late. Because people are late. I'm learning with all this. People are always late. Even when I went to pick up my rental car for Turo, they were pretty late. Like, it took them about 10 minutes to get a notice back to me that the person was even on their way. Maybe 15 to 20 minutes or so. I think maybe 15 minutes for them to actually like respond to me saying that they're going to get the car out of the garage, and then however long that took, because you have to take the pictures and stuff. And so it definitely was a complicated situation. Slightly. No, slightly. It wasn't that bad. I'm not going to make it out to seem like it was that bad of a situation. It wasn't that bad. But, you know, it's not a very timely thing when you're dealing with people and their schedules. And it's not like they're, getting paid to do stuff. Like, they're taking their time and they show up a little bit late. They always show up a little bit late, at least a little bit late, or contact you a little bit late, or whatever it may be. Like, they're always a little bit late. So I'm kind of not even really, doing all that much to try to um, make things early or whatever. Um, it's just communicating with them, and if they get back to you and stuff. Um, that's just the only real way to really understand any of it. Um, but it's not guaranteed money. It's not, uh, I haven't found a way on OfferUp to really make something like very structured and scheduled. And like I said, when you're dealing with other people needing to be on time to meet you certain places, they're usually going to be pretty late. Because there's not really a lot of accountability. It's like they're spending money on something you're selling. They're not really all that interested in getting there on time. So it's not uncommon to be waiting on somebody for like an extra 30 minutes. And you don't even know for sure if they're guaranteed to buy. And maybe it's because I'm in LA most of the time. Um, that does make a big difference with that traffic. Nobody's super motivated to leave early to get somewhere early. Like, you'd rather show up late almost. And that's pretty common in LA, that people are usually about 15 to 30 minutes late. That's been my common experience. Unless you have tickets to something that opens at a certain time or whatever. And even then, I feel like most of the time people get where they're supposed to be meeting you, and then they're looking for parking during that time period, then however long it takes them to walk. So usually it does take people that extra time. People don't leave early trying to get somewhere 5 minutes early. I feel like people leave 5 to 10 minutes late, and then they earn an extra like 10, 15 minutes late, which is fine. But I mean, I'm just mentioning it because time is money, and if you're trying to like make money, like even with like Uber Eats, imagine if somebody was like, meet me at the door. Like, there are a lot of deliveries like that. Most people, at least in my areas, would have you leave stuff on the doorstep, but plenty of people have you knock at the door, or they're like, text me when you're there, or call me when you're there, and you hear their phone ringing in the house, or it goes to voicemail and doesn't even ring, or you're knocking on the door. If it doesn't say don't knock, or ringing the doorbell or whatever, they can still take quite a bit of time to get out to the door to you. And you might have another delivery in the car, or you might be like trying to just like go back to your hotspot to get more orders faster, or trying to beat like a traffic rush. Uh, you know, it's a little bit, maybe it's the culture of things. People just aren't super on time with stuff. Um, and that's something to get used to. So if you're doing sales where you're not just remotely doing stuff, when you're interacting with people, whether that's Uber Eats or OfferUp, and people have to come to you or you have to go to them, or whatever version. I usually don't go to them. If I'm selling something to them, I don't even offer to come to them, because LA's so big. I'm not trying to drive like an hour and 15 minutes for somebody to be like sorry, I'm not home. I'm not going to be back for an hour, or like, whatever it is. Like, people just, they just are on their own wavelength sometimes. Um, but I don't know. I'm still kind of in that world a little bit. It's still there, but I'm trying to get back to the podcasting and seeing what is possible to monetize on here and what that looks like. And then I'll let you guys know, I guess, how things go with the paid traffic. I'm using somebody I've used off of Fiverr for like multiple years now, but just I have some cash set aside for advertising expenses, and so I'm kind of letting him do it. I just don't want to pay more than once a week because I don't know if these people that he's sending to me, I want to make sure they are legit people, that they're actually, people who might stick around. That I don't really know. The traffic is definitely coming in. I don't know if I'm getting necessarily an increase in subscribers, just listeners. So that is maybe more of what I want to know. If I look at my audience size, let me see if it'll show me these stats. My plays definitely went up. Just from paid traffic. I have two similar days, yesterday and today, that are just under, I'd say like about 150% of the traffic I was already getting, which is fine. That's about what I needed at. Impressions, it's a couple days behind, so the impressions are a couple days behind. And then, let me see. Can't really click on some of these things. So audience size is basically streamed on any devices for at least 60 seconds, or downloaded an episode in the last 7 days. So that's something to track. Impressions on Spotify, or Spotify impressions, it's the number of times your show or any of your episodes were shown to anyone on Spotify over the last 30 days. And it says the number is an estimate and may not be precise. It may take up to 2 days to show new data, which is what I have going on right now, is that it's still 2 days behind. And then the Spotify followers, this is the number of people on Spotify who are currently following your podcast. So that's overview. And then looking at audience, you can see, I'm pretty much driving traffic through Apple Podcasts, and that's what this shows. And I've got a bit of an older listener base between I'm not talking about this podcast specifically, I'm talking about a different podcast. I'm looking at the stats. About ages 35 to 59 are kind of primarily the interested parties. Then I've got the episode rankings. My episode rankings haven't changed at all on this other podcast. It's been the same highest views on the same episodes. But I don't know if I can really tell the specifics of where the traffic is coming from. Let me see. It just tells you how many plays, and then it shows you with a couple of the episodes, like how many plays, like 6 on this one, 6 on the other one, 4 on one of the most popular ones ever. The other day is kind of the same, 5 on one, 4 on one, 4 on another. It tells you which episode was published, but it tells you total plays, but it doesn't tell you all the episodes that were played on that day. It just tells you a few of them. So, yeah, trying to figure out all the analytics on this. It might be helpful to also connect like Google Analytics, because I feel like the analytics built in through Spotify aren't that detailed. That's my personal opinion. I'd like to know more about the followers, which days, like you can kind of like adjust it, I guess, 30 days, 7 days. You can kind of see the numbers when you adjust it a little bit, but it still doesn't show you that much information, to be honest. I'd like more information. So, I don't know. It's, I'd like to know what traffic is being sent. Um, if I export CRV, let me see. Let me do that for the last 7 days. That's going to be the last thing I do, export CRV. I got to get on with some other tasks for today. So if I export CRV, or CSV, sorry. Where I got CRV from. If I export, no, it just gives me solid numbers of plays per date, and it doesn't give me any other data. So that's, to me, that's a little bit of useless information. It's a number, but the number that I want is where is it coming from? That's what I want to know. So I don't know where it's coming from. It shows a little bit of where things come from, like which podcast platforms. But other than that, it doesn't show where those people come from. Like what is it? So, all right, that's it for now. Just trying to shed some more light. This is how I try to figure things out. Figured I might as well try it live. And yeah, that's all for now. I'm gonna get to some of my musical stuff for today.